Hi everyone, welcome to a video for Monster Hunter World, and this also relates to Iceborne as well. So with Monster Hunter Wilds due out in a few months, what I thought I'd do is maybe do a few videos for Monster Hunter World and maybe some for Monster Hunter Rise as well. They just go through some things with the game that you might not necessarily know if you're just starting out. I imagine there's going to be some people who are just picking up Monster Hunter World for the first time in preparation for Wilds. Maybe they want to experiment with Worlds, see if they like the kind of game before they move on to getting Wilds in February. So in preparation for that, I thought I'd just go through a few things in Monster Hunter World in particular that might not be as obvious to new players. And for this video, I'm actually going to do essentially a video version of one of my Steam guides, which I will link to in the description as well, which is how to get all of the different mantles and specialized tools that you can use in the game. So these are items that you can use while you're fighting monsters. There are different kinds of boosters, which are a kind of spray that you put down, which emit an effect, which affects everyone that goes nearby. And there are things called mantles, which are an item that your character wears that apply an effect while you're wearing them. Now you unlock a lot of these through different quests, and then if you have Iceborne, you can also upgrade a lot of them as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically go through my guide that I've got on Steam, which again I will leave a link to in the description. What I'm going to do then is I'm basically going to show you the quest you need to do to unlock them, what the actual mantles do, and then I'll also cover how to actually upgrade them in Iceborne as well. So with that, let's get on with the video. So first of all, I think the easiest thing to do is to show you what these tools are. So if I got to change my equipment here, you can see here we have these slots. Now, when you first start the game, you won't have any slots, I don't believe. I think you have to get to a certain point in the Monster Hunter World story. I think it's to about the mission where you fight Tobikadachi, and that will unlock one of your first mantle slots. You get your second slot much later on, so I think that's once you've beaten the main story, if my memory serves correctly. So eventually you will have two of these slots available to you, and you can take two into every monster that you hunt. So you can see here we've got two mantles equipped. This also does cover your boosters as well though. So if I go on here, the game does give you a very basic bit of information about each mantle and each booster. So you can see, for example, this one here is called the Vitality Mantle, and the game shows you that the effect duration, which is how long the mantle lasts before it expires. It tells you the recharge time, which is how long once it's expired before you can use it again. The slots are only relevant to Iceborne, because the upgrade that you do in Iceborne will basically add slots to these mantles for you. You can't add slots to the boosters. So what I'll do is I'll go through all of these and I'll explain what the best way to get them is. So the first one we're going to look at is the Apothecary Mantle. So the Apothecary Mantle, it says it increases the probability of triggering status build-up when attacking with weapons that induce abnormal statuses. It's fairly self-explanatory, this one really. Essentially, if you're running a build that uses status effects, so if you're using, for example, a sleep build or a poison build or blast build, this will basically increase the rate that the status builds up and activates. So what that means in short is that if you're running a poison build, for example, you're going to build up poison effect more quickly. So you'll notice that monsters will probably get poisoned more often if you're using the Apothecary Mantle. Now, obviously, this only takes effect while the mantle is actually on and active. So to get the Apothecary Mantle, what you need to do is you need to research 10 monsters to maximum level. And you do that by collecting monster tracks and also doing other things that build up research points. So that is gathering tracks. And if you break parts of a monster, you'll gain research points. Basically, anything that gets research points from a monster will slowly start to increase that monster's research level. Now, the maximum research level is level 4 if the monster is only available in low and high rank, and it's level 6 for pretty much everything else. Once you've fully researched those 10 monsters, then all you need to do is go to the workshop in Astera, and then you want to take on a quest called A Portent for Disaster. Basically what this quest is, it's a quest to slay Kashala Daora in Ancient Forest. Once you beat that quest, then you'll unlock the Apothecary Mantle. So that is how you get the Apothecary Mantle. I realise some of these might be slightly out of order in the order you do them in the game, but I'm just going through them in alphabetical order, just as the guide is. So that is to actually get the Apothecary mantle. If you then want to upgrade it, all of the upgrades are done through Iceborne, so you do need to have the Master Rank expansion Iceborne to upgrade them. To upgrade the Apothecary mantle, you need to complete the MR5 quest, which is called the Tyrant's Banquet, which is where you hunt a Savage Deviljaw in Wildspire Waste. Once you complete that, you'll upgrade the Apothecary mantle. It'll also change name as well, so you can see mine's called Apothecary Mantle Plus, and that's because it's upgraded. So the next one, I will cover it briefly for anyone who might have managed to get it originally, just so you know the effect of it. The next one is the Assassin's Hood. Now, unfortunately, this isn't actually available anymore. The reason for this is this was part of the Assassin's Creed collaboration that was in Monster Hunter World. The way you used to get it was there was an event quest called SDF Silent, Deadly and Fierce, where you used to have to fight an Udagaran, a Deviljaw and a Lunastra. And you would get these items called Senna's Feather, and then you exchange the feathers and some research points and you unlock the Assassin's Hood. Unfortunately, that quest was removed from the game when the license expired for the Assassin's Creed collaboration. So you can't actually obtain it legitimately anymore. You may be able to mod it into the game somehow, but there is no way to actually obtain this legitimately now, unfortunately. To upgrade it, there is a MR3 event quest called the Assassin, which is to hunt a tempered Nagakuga in Forest. I can't remember if that's still available either. Not that it matters if you can't get the hood in the first place. Now what this hood actually does, if you do have it, is while it's on, it increases your movement speed a little bit, and it says it allows you to hide quicker. I don't know exactly what it means by that. It just gives the impression that it makes it harder for monsters to detect you. I honestly didn't notice a huge difference when I used to use it. One of the big benefits of this is that you do actually get a big damage boost if you attack a monster that's unaware of you. So for example, if you sneak up behind a monster while you're wearing the Assassin's Hood and the monster doesn't notice you, your first hit will do a lot more damage than normal. So it's basically used for like surprise attacks. It's generally not used a whole lot, and as I've said, you can't actually get it now legitimately, so you would need to find some way of modding it into the game now, unfortunately. So the next one is the Bandit Mantle. So the Bandit Mantle, what this does is, while it's active, monsters that you attack will start to drop some extra materials. These materials, they're not actually monster parts that will drop, they are essentially items that you get purely to sell. So the Bandit Mantle is basically used to make money quicker. As it says it causes monsters to drop rare trading items when you attack them. Now, not every attack is going to make them drop, but you will get quite a few items from attacking a monster with a Bandit Mantle equipped. So essentially, if you are running a bit low on money, just equip a Bandit Mantle and go and hunt some monsters for a bit, and that will give you some items to go towards building some more money up. Now, the way you get the Bandit Mantle, you need to complete it's an optional quest in the base game called Redefining the Power Couple. So it's a quest where you fight Rathalos and Rathian in Ancient Forest, and when you've completed that, you'll unlock the Bandit Mantle. To upgrade it, you need to do the MR3 quest in Iceborne, which is called A Nasty Flesh Wound, which is to hunt a tempered Udagaran in Coral Highlands. Again, so once you've done that, that will upgrade the Bandit Mantle for you. Next one we're going to look at is the Challenger Mantle. So the Challenger Mantle is quite an interesting one. So what this does is, while it's equipped, it increases the amount of enmity that a monster has towards you. So essentially it's like attracting hate on a monster. So if you are a multiplayer and your bow user is getting a lot of the monster hate, you can equip a Challenger Mantle and attack the monster, and quite often the monster will divert its attention towards you instead. So it's basically like pulling, it makes you able to pull monsters. You can also do it to actually lure monsters into other areas as well, so you can get monsters to follow you. The only big downside of this mantle is that if you do take any damage while it's equipped, the effect ends prematurely. So to unlock the Challenger Mantle, you want to complete the 7-star optional quest, the Red and Blue Crew, which is to hunt a Rathalos and an Azure Rathalos in Ancient Forest. And then to upgrade it, you do the MR3 quest, Rolling, Running and Weeping, which is to hunt a Tigrex and a Radabarn in Rotten Vale. What you'll find with these is that some of them are a lot easier to unlock and upgrade than others. Next up we have the Dragonproof mantle. So Dragonproof mantle, basically while it's equipped, it reduces dragon element damage that you receive. It prevents you from being able to be inflicted with dragon blight. And it also increases the amount of dragon element that your weapon has, if it has dragon element. To unlock it, it's a little bit of a task, this one, so you need to get far enough in the base game story to the point where you're tracking the unknown Rathian tracks. Once you get that far, you will get the opportunity to speak to a group of researchers that stand near the entrance of Astera, and they'll actually ask you to gather Devil Jaw tracks, which is essentially like a side, like optional thing you can do. Devil Jaw was introduced as like a DLC monster, so you just need to get that far in the game to be able to do this DLC quest. Once you've gone and gathered the Devil Jaw tracks, you then basically just go around different expeditions until you've got enough tracks together. Once you've done that, speak to the researchers again, and then they'll say that the handler's gone missing and they want you to go and find her. And it basically culminates in you doing a quest to go and hunt Devil Jaw, which is called, it's a 7-star special assignment called the Food Chain Dominator. When you complete that quest, then they'll give you the Dragonproof mantle as a reward. To upgrade it, you basically need to progress to a point where the armory in Celiana will give you a delivery bounty. So delivery bounties are a thing in the game where an NPC will ask you to deliver them certain items and they'll give you something as a reward. So if you deliver 1 Teostra Fellwing, 1 Daora Fellwing, and 2,000 research points, they will upgrade your Dragonproof mantle. Next one is the Evasion mantle. So the Evasion mantle, when you equip this, what it does is it basically extends your evasion window and makes it a lot easier to evade enemy attacks. It also gives you another little boost, which is if you successfully evade a monster attack at the last minute, so if you time it perfectly, it will actually give you a little attack power buff. It's actually a really, really useful mantle, particularly for weapons that evade quite a lot. So in Iceborne, you tend to play bow quite often by doing a thing called dash dancing, which is where you dash side to side and shoot constantly. So Evasion mantle works really well with that. To get the Evasion mantle, this is one you'll unlock a little bit later in the game. So you need to, first of all, you need to hunt 7 different tempered level 2 monsters. So tempered monsters come in different tiers in base game, and it's the same in Iceborne as well, but it's specifically the base game ones that it's asking you to do. Level 2 tempered monsters in base game include things like Rathalos, Diablos, Black Diablos, Legiana, Pink Rathian, although Pink Rathian is only threat level 2 in high rank. It's threat level 1 in master rank, so you can't do it in master rank. Udagaran, Lavasioth, Uragan, Azure Rathalos, Basilgeuse. Technically Devil Jaw counts as well, but you can only fight him in a quest and it's a lot harder than a normal tempered level 2, so I wouldn't advise doing that. So after you've done that, you need to speak to the armory, and they will give you a 9-star quest in high rank called New World Sky, New World Flower. And that quest basically asks you to hunt Tempered Pink Rathian and a Tempered Azure Rathalos in the arena. It's probably one of the harder quests in base game, so just be aware of that if you are still in the base game. When you've completed that, you'll get the Evasion mantle. I think you just have to report back to the armory and they give you it. To upgrade the Evasion mantle, you need to do the MR3 quest, which is called Proud White Knight, which is to hunt a Tempered Barioth in Horfrost Reach. So next up, we've got the Fireproof mantle. So Fireproof mantle, much like the Dragonproof mantle, reduces elemental damage, in this case obviously fire. It makes you immune to Fire Blight and Blast Blight while it's active. And it also prevents any damage from very hot environments. So, for example, the fiery part of the Elder's Recess, you won't take the heat damage. This is obviously a fantastic one for certain monsters, and particularly for things like Teostra, because of the fact it nullifies Blast Blight as well. So, very, very useful mantle this. To get it, you need to complete the 7-star quest, A Fiery Convergence, which is to hunt a Lavasioth and an Uragan in Elder's Recess. And then to upgrade it, you need to do the MR3 quest, Festival of Explosions, which is to hunt a Brachydios and an Uragan in Elder's Recess. So a pretty simple one, really. Next, we've got the Ghillie mantle. So Ghillie mantle will probably be the first one that you unlock in the game. So Ghillie mantle, as you might expect, when you equip it, it basically makes you invisible to monsters. Monsters won't be able to see you. They can still detect you. If, for example, if a monster walks over where you are, sometimes that will trigger them and they'll still attack you. Also, if you attack while you've got the Ghillie mantle on, it will instantly end the effect of it and reveal you. So it's quite good for certain things. So it's also very good for getting some of the rare endemic life. So if you're trying to get the Downy Crake or the Bristle Crake, or some of the rare endemic life in Iceborne, some of it is very difficult to get because it'll run away when you get near them. So by wearing the Ghillie mantle, you can get near them without being seen. So to unlock the Ghillie mantle, it's really, really early in the game. Basically, you just need to complete the 3-star quest, Flying Sparks Tobi-Kadachi, which is actually an assignment quest in the story. And as soon as you complete that, you'll get the Ghillie mantle. And that will unlock your first tool slot, basically. To upgrade it, you just need to do the MR1 quest Ice Catch, which is to capture a bear tortoise, so it's very easy to get and to upgrade. And also a very useful mantle as well. It's quite often used for Fatalis as well, actually, for the right at the beginning of the fight. Quite often people will use the Ghillie mantle to load up the cannons at the start and aim them at Fatalis and fire all the cannons at Fatalis at the start to get some really nice damage in early. So there's definitely good use for it. Next one is the Glider Mantle. So Glider Mantle, this is a bit of a weird one. So basically, as it says, it increases your jump air time. So when you jump, you'll kind of float a bit in the air and you'll kind of glide down, as the name suggests, instead of just dropping. It also says it grants you the power to ride strong winds. What it means by that is, particularly in Coral Highlands, there are certain parts of the map where there are these kind of geysers of air that shoot up every now and again. And if you have the Glider Mantle on and one of the geysers shoots up in the air, you will be able to ride the geyser up really high. And it's basically a way of getting around the map faster. So it's useful in certain situations. It's also actually quite good for mountain monsters because you can jump off a ledge and then kind of float over to the monster, and it makes it a lot easier to get a mount on some monsters. So to unlock the Glider Mantle, you basically, so far in the story, you will get asked to go on an expedition to the Coral Highlands, and as soon as you complete that, you'll get given the Glider Mantle. So again, it's one that you get quite early. To upgrade it, you just need to do the MR3 quest, Red and Black Aces, which is to hunt a Rathalos and a Nagakuga in Ancient Forest. Just to stress again, the reason that you upgrade these mantles is basically just to add these slots to them. You can see on Glider Mantle, you do actually get a decent amount of slots, so you actually get 2 level 4 slots, which is really good. Just one quick note on the slots on mantles though. Anything that you put in these slots on the mantles will only be active when the mantle is on. So if you put, for example, heavy artillery jewels in these mantles, that boosted damage from cannons and ballista will only apply while you're wearing the mantle. So quite often for Fatalis, people will put heavy artillery in the Ghillie mantle. So next one is the Iceproof mantle. So Iceproof mantle, it's another one of the elemental ones. So it cuts down ice element damage on you. It nullifies ice blight, prevents cold effects. So you can wear it in places like Hoarfrost Reach and you won't suffer the stamina drain. And it also reduces the mobility reduction from being in deep snow. So it's quite niche really. You're not going to use it a great deal, but it's useful for what it does. To get it, you just need to complete one of the research deliveries, which is called Armory R&D Weatherizing. Again, it's quite an early one. To upgrade it, you need to do the MR4 quest, Duet of Rhyme, which is to hunt a Legiana and a Shrieking Legiana in Hoarfrost Reach. Next one is the Immunity Mantle. So Immunity Mantle, what this does is it removes, as it says, it removes and nullifies all abnormal statuses for the duration of it. So it basically prevents abnormal status effects. Now, just to stress, I don't think this covers blights. I think you have to use the elemental mantles to nullify the blights, or use, obviously, things like fire resist. I think what it means by status effects is things like paralyze, things like stun, things like poison. Think negative things that are not blight linked to an element. So make sure you're immune to all those. It may also, I'm not 100% sure on this, but it may also have an effect against Valhazak's effluvium, but I'm not 100% sure on that. To unlock this, you need to complete your research level on 15 different monsters. So much like the one earlier, it's basically just collecting tracks and, you know, breaking parts and so on to build that research level up and hunting the monster repeatedly. Once you've done that for 15 different monsters, you'll unlock a quest at the armory, which is called Blaze on the Sand, which is to slay a Teostra in Wilds by Waste. Once you've done that, you'll get the immunity mantle as a reward. To upgrade it, you just need to complete the MR5 quest. It's the Afterlife for me, which is to hunt a Black Veil Valhazak in Rottenvale. Which is another reason why I think the immunity mantle might protect you against effluvium, because you have to do a Valhazak to upgrade it. So next one is the Impact Mantle. Now Impact Mantle is an incredibly useful one. So what this does is, it says it adds a stun effect to most attacks or increases the potency of an existing stun effect. So as you'll know, if you've got a weapon that can stun, if you hit a monster in the head with it a lot, you'll eventually knock it out with a KO. What this does is it means that any attack is able to do that, but attacks that already do that are now much more effective at it. So a hammer user using an Impact Mantle will knock things out constantly. Another thing it's really good for is for Spread Heavy Bowgun. Spread Heavy Bowgun with Impact Mantle will just knock things down constantly with stun. So it's a very, very good mantle. To get it, you need to hunt 5 different level 1 tempered monsters in high rank. So level 1 is your basic monsters. So there are ones that can't be tempered, but it's still quite low-end monsters. So we're talking things like Puke Puke, Tobikidachi, Anjanath, Rathian, Baroth, Duratodus, Palumu, Radaban, those kind of monsters. Once you have hunted 5 different tempered ones of those, you'll get a new quest which is called Showdown, the Muck and the Maul. And that quest is to hunt a tempered Baroth and a tempered Radaban. And once you've done that, you'll get the Impact Mantle for it. So it's a little bit of work, but it's still quite easy to get, honestly. To upgrade it, you can only do it once you've beaten the story of Iceborne. So you need to first of all beat the entire story of Iceborne for this to upgrade it. Once you've done that, there is a MR6 quest called Hymn of Sun and Moon, which is to hunt a Gold Rathian and a Silver Rathalos. This quest as well also only unlocks at about MR 125, so you do need to put in quite a lot of work to get this quest to unlock. You also might have needed to unlock Gold Rathian and Silver Rathalos in the Guiding Lands, but I'm not totally sure on that. It is quite a difficult quest this as well, because the way it works is you start out fighting Gold Rathian, and after a few minutes in the quest, Silver Rathalos will spawn in the same room, and you can't use dung pods to separate them. They refuse to leave each other, so you end up fighting both of them at the same time. So it's probably easy to get some friends to help with this. But once you've done that quest, then you'll be able to upgrade the Impact Mantle. Honestly, just getting it at all is good enough. Next one is the Rocksteady Mantle. So Rocksteady has quite a few different effects. So first of all, it eliminates what are called damage reactions. So a damage reaction is if you take a hit and your character kind of flinches or reels from the attack, that is a damage reaction. So while you're wearing the Rocksteady Mantle, you basically won't flinch. It prevents wind effects. It protects your hearing, so that is the same effect as having earplugs, so things like monster roars won't affect you. And it also gives you tremor resistance, so if something shakes the floor, you won't get staggered by it. So it's very, very good. You also do receive a little bit less damage from attacks. Now, there is a flip side to Rocksteady that it doesn't tell you. The big downside of Rocksteady Mantle is that it kind of removes some of the... But because you lose damage reactions, it also means that you kind of lose any kind of invulnerability window between taking damage. So you will find quite often with Rocksteady that sometimes it will actually kill you because you'll take lots of sets of damage very quickly and die from it. so you do need to be quite careful using Rocksteady. It's one of the best mantles in the game if you know how to use it, but you do need to watch yourself when you use it. So to unlock it, you need to slay 3 different tempered level 3 monsters in high rank. So tempered level 3s in high rank are basically Elder Dragons. So you're looking at things like Nergigante, Kashela d'Ora, Teostra, Valhazak, Lunastra, and so on. Once you've done that, you'll get a new quest, which is called a Summons from Below, which is to hunt a tempered Odogaron and a tempered Valhazak in the Rotten Vale. It's actually a really easy quest because the monsters actually both have, because it's a multi-monster quest, they both have reduced HP. And they also do turf war with each other as well. So once you've done that, you'll get the Rocksteady mantle. To upgrade it, you need to do the MR4 quest Piercing Black, which is to hunt a tempered Black Diablos in Wildspire Waste, which if you're still quite early in Iceborne is actually quite a hard quest because Black Diablos hits like a truck. But yeah, if you know how Black Diablos works though, it's not too bad. But yeah, very, very good mantle. Speaking of very, very good mantles, next one is Temporal Mantle. Temporal Mantle is one of, if not the best mantle in the game. It is ridiculously busted. Basically, what Temporal Mantle does is it says it nullifies damage from powerful attacks by automatically evading. So if a monster attack is going to hit you, your character will automatically do kind of like an evasive, basically like a little like flip or a roll that automatically evades the attack. You don't have to dodge. Now, the way it works now, they did tweak it a little bit after launch. So the way that it works now is every time the effect triggers, the duration of the mantle drops. So although it says it lasts 120 seconds, it will never realistically last that long because every time it activates, you'll lose some of that duration. So it's basically because when it released, it was kind of used as a crutch. And now, if you use it as a crutch and just rely on it to dodge for you, it'll run out really, really quickly. So it's more for just like getting it out of a tight spot, really. So to unlock the Temporal Mantle, the first thing you need to do is you need to speak to the Huntsman to begin the Lunastra quest chain. So you need to get far enough in the story where that sub-quest becomes available, which is probably when you get into the Elder Dragons. Then you need to complete a quest called The Blazing Sun, which is to slay Teostra and Wildspire Waste. Then you need to do another quest called Pandora's Arena, which is actually a little bit awkward. You basically have to repel Lunastra in the arena, and you only have 15 minutes to do it, so you do need a fairly decent build to be able to do it reliably. So make sure you're equipped well for it. Once you've done that, you unlock a third quest called No Remorse, No Surrender, which is to slay Teostra and Lunastra in Elder's Recess. And once you've done that, you'll get the Temporal Mantle from the Huntsman. To upgrade it, again, this is another one that you can only upgrade after you've beaten the Iceborne story. And to do it, you need to do the MR6 quest, Divine Surge, which is to hunt a tempered Kirin and a tempered Namiel in Coral Highlands. And that quest doesn't unlock until MR 150. So next one is Thunderproof Mantle. So again, it's another elemental resisting one, so it reduces thunder damage, nullifies Thunder Blight. Curiously, it also nullifies Paralysis, which is interesting because that's not actually a blight, but it still nullifies it. This makes it obviously really useful for things like Kirin. To unlock it, you basically need to do a little chain of quests for this, so they are all very, very easy quests, but it takes a little bit of time to do. First one you want to do is a quest called Snatch the Snatcher, which is to capture a Kuluyiku. Once you do that, you need to do a quest called Landing the Landslide Wyvern, which is to capture a Baroth. Then you need to do a quest called White Monster for a White Coat, which is to capture a Palumu. And then finally, you need to do another one called Man's Best Fiend, which is to capture an Odogaron. Once you've done that, just go and talk to the ecological researcher in Astera, and that will unlock another quest called Gone in a Flash, which asks you to go and slay Kirin in Coral Highlands. Curiously, it's one of the only quests where you can find Elder Dragon in low rank, because it is only a 5-star quest. There's not many other Elder Dragons in the game you can fight in low rank. I think Zora might be the only other one. So go and slay the low rank Kirin, and once you've done that, you'll get the Thunderproof mantle. So it is a bit of work to get, but it is worth it. To upgrade it, you just need to do the MR4 quest, which is called Trap the Thunderjaw, which is to capture a Fulgur Anjanath in Hoarfrost Reach. Next one is the Vitality Mantle. So Vitality Mantle is actually really useful. What this does is it says it negates a fixed amount of damage after which the effect expires. The easiest way I can describe how this works is when you equip it, your health bar will kind of have a little bit of a glow around it. Think of Vitality Mantle as essentially having an extra health bar or some armor. And basically whenever you take a hit, it will deplete some of the Vitality Mantle instead. And once the Vitality Mantle has been depleted, it'll end the effect then, and then you'll be able to start getting hurt. There's several uses for this, so it can be used to tank some attacks. It can be used to negate things like environmental damage, so it'll tick off the Vitality Mantle instead. I will say though that at the end game you will find it will get broken very quickly, so it is limited use later on, but there are still some sort of niche uses for it. So to unlock it, you need to complete the 6-star story quest, Tickle Pink, which is to hunt an Anjanath in Wildspire Way, so it's a high rank Anjanath. And when you do that, you'll get the Vitality Mantle. So it's another one that you unlock from doing the Monster Hunter World story. And then to upgrade it, very easy one to upgrade. You just need to complete the MR1 quest, which is called This Here's Bighorn Country, which is a tempered Bambaro in Elder's Recess. Honestly, even though it's tempered, it's still really not very hard. And then lastly for the mantles, we have the Waterproof Mantle. So Waterproof Mantle, again, obviously reduces water damage. It nullifies Water Blight, so very similar to the other elemental mantles. It also reduces your mobility restrictions in muck and negates them entirely for deep water. So if you go into an area that has deep water in World, you'll notice that your character will move through it very slowly as they kind of wade through it. And the same for the muck as well, they'll kind of struggle to work through it. This basically reduces the movement restrictions for muck and gets rid of the movement restrictions altogether for water, so you can walk through water normally. So to unlock it, you just need to do, it's another research delivery, so it's one called Armory R&D Waterproofing. And then to upgrade it, you just need to do the MR2 quest, which is called Put That Red Cup Away, which is to capture a tempered coral puka puka in Coral Highlands. So pretty easy. So that is all of the mantles. So next up we have 3 different boosters. Now these boosters, again, these work a bit differently. So these do take up your slot. So you can see at the minute I've got a temporal mantle equipped. If I go to this health booster, it does replace the mantle. So you can have any combination of the two at late game. So again, if I wanted my temporal mantle still, I could always put it on the second slot if I wanted to. So the health booster, the way the boosters work is you basically put a thing down called a smoker, and when you set it, you put it down on the floor and it will start to emit mist. And the mist is a different colour for each booster, and the mist has a set effect for any hunter that walks into it. So the first one is health booster, which is pretty self-explanatory. It emits a green mist, and while you're standing in that range, your health will slowly regenerate. So to unlock it, it's very easy for the health booster. So the health booster, to unlock it, all you do is you need to beat the story quest, one for the history books, which is the first time that you fight Zora Magdaros in story. So very easy to get. To upgrade it, you just need to do the MR2 quest called Feisty Girl Talk, which is to hunt a Rathian and a pink Rathian in Wildspire Waste. So again, pretty easy. You will notice on these that these don't actually have any slots on them. Typically the upgrades for these, I think they either affect the duration or the recharge times or the effectiveness of the actual boost instead of getting slots to them. So next up we have Cleanser Booster. So Cleanser Booster places a smoker that emits a blue mist, and this removes any abnormal statuses and gets rid of elemental blights. So if you're fighting a monster that does use a lot of blights or a lot of status effects, it is relatively useful. Typically though, I don't use it too much. The way that you unlock this is very easy one, to be honest. So all you need to do for it is there is a 4-star optional quest called On Nightmare's Wings, and all you have to do for it is just slay a few Raffinos in Rottenvale. So they're not even large monsters, it's literally the very small wyverns that fly around in Rottenvale. I think you slay, I can't remember how many it is now. It's not a huge amount of community kill. It's probably the easiest one to unlock. Do that and it'll unlock the cleanser booster for you. To upgrade it, you need to do the MR2 quest, which is called Poison and Paralysis Pinch, which is to capture a Viper Tobi-Kadachi in Hoarfrost Reach. Obviously a bit of a theme going there because Viper is liable to poison you a lot. And then finally we have the Affinity booster. So Affinity booster emits like a reddish pink mist, and this, as you can probably tell, boosts your affinity. So affinity is basically the chance of you doing a critical hit. So this basically gives you extra crit chance, is the easiest way to describe it. So to get affinity booster, it is a little bit of work. So to unlock it, it's a bit like Thunderproof mantle, where there is a bit of a quest chain to do. So they're all optional quests that you get from the 3rd Fleet Master in the research base, and when you complete one of them, someone in the base will want to speak to you, and that will unlock the next quest. So the first quest to do is one called A Tingling Taste, which is a 6-star quest to hunt a Great Gyros. Then you have to do a delivery called A Master's Toast. Then you've got to do another 6-star quest called Stuck in Their Ways, which is to capture a Tobi-Kadachi. Then you've got another delivery quest called A Fire Spewing Brew. Then you have to do a 7-star quest called A Sore Sight, which is to hunt an Udagaran. And then finally there's another 7-star quest called Rumble in the Waste, which is to hunt a Diablos and a Black Diablos. And when you've done all those quests and all those deliveries, go and talk to the 3rd Fleet Master in the research base, and she'll give you the affinity booster. Now the upgrade, again, this is the last one that you can only upgrade once you've completed the Iceborne story, and this requires you to get the furthest as well. So first of all, you need to obviously complete the Iceborne story. Then you need to get to Master Rank 175. Once you get there, you'll unlock an MR6 quest called The Storm Brings the Unexpected, which is to hunt a Tempered Kashala de Aura and a Tempered Black Valhazak in Ancient Forest. And once you do that, you'll upgrade the affinity booster. And that is how you get them all. So some of them are extremely easy to get, some of them are a bit of work, but they are all worth getting. Some of the upgrades aren't that great. I mean, for the mantles, for example, if you look at the Temporal mantle, you can see it only gets 2 level 1 slots. That's probably because the mantle itself is really busted. But then something like the glider mantle gets 2 level 4 slots, so that is well worth upgrading. So that is how you get them anyway. So I hope that's been relatively useful. I do have the written version of the guide on Steam as well, so if you find the written version easy to follow, I will link that in the description as well. But basically what I want to start doing is doing a few of these little guides for people who might be picking up Monster Hunter World in preparation for Wilds. I realise that, you know, the buzz around Wilds is starting to really build up now, so people are probably picking up World and Rise again just to get familiar with Monster Hunter. And it might be your first game that you're wanting to try the Monster Hunter series, and maybe you want to try World out first to see if you like it. So hopefully these guides are relatively useful. I do similar guides for things like PSO as well, so I thought it's kind of in my wheelhouse. If you've got any questions or anything, please feel free to leave them below in the comments below. I will try and answer whatever I can. I do a couple of streams a week where we do play a little bit of Monster Hunter. We'll be playing a lot of it when Monster Hunter Wilds releases. And I do also play other games like Phantasy Star as well. So feel free to join us over there. Hello, Bowgunner Hunter. So nice of you to join us. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like or a subscribe. Really appreciate it. But hopefully see you guys in the next one.